network to share your thoughts, and you can use the question and answers option to post any questions. Our respective speaker will be taking up post the session, and one PDU will be credited automatically within 2 weeks of time period for those who have provided the right name as well as right PMI ID with the first name and the last names. We encourage to have open discussion, but please keep your comments respectful and on the topic. This session's recording will also be available and posted on PMIPCC YouTube channel. We want everyone to stay until the very end of the program for the member talk and a digital selfie. At the end of session, please make sure everyone is prepared to turn on their cameras. Now, without waiting any further, we will go ahead and start our session, which is Beyond Agile, Designing Fit for Purpose, Outcome Driven Delivery Models. Now, we have our speaker, Mr. Reddy Chirala, who is a senior principal and business consulting at Infosys Consulting. With this, I would love to hand over the session to Mr. Venkat. Venkat, over to you, sir.
Sure, Abhinav. Very good morning, all of you. Hope you're able to hear me and see me well. Can you hear me well, Abhinav?
Yes,
okay?
Venkat. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, Venkat.
Perfect. So very good morning, all of you. I see close to 35 of us here. So it's a pleasure to have these many audience on a long weekend. And it's always a great pleasure to me to be back here with PMIPCC and share my knowledge. It's I think third time I'm doing. A bit about myself. I'm basically a volunteer of PMIPCC, I would say, from almost more than 2+ decades. So I started my journey in 2005, and I've been in various roles in the board. I was actually a past president of the chapter from 2021 to 2023. So during that time, actually, we started this Agile series. It's again a great pleasure to talk to you on the same platform after so many years, and kudos to the board for continuing this successfully over many years. And I'm by profession, I currently work with Infosys Consulting. I'm a senior principal business consulting there, and I currently head the Agile COE in India. Okay, so it's great to talk to know each of you. Or maybe you can quickly type what's your profession, whether I know some of the students also joined. So if you're a student or professional, if you're professional, whether you're practicing Agile or not in your professions, you can quickly type it in the chat box so that I know exactly how many of us have already some level of understanding about Agile and beyond Agile that we are going to talk about anyway. So I give a minute for each of you to quickly type your name and profession, and if you're already in IT or a similar field, and you could type whether you have any experience in Agile. Is all of you with me here, or long weekend blues? Thank you, Ajay, for initiating. Go ahead. Program management leader. Perfect. Welcome. Go ahead. Anirudh. Welcome. Surya, 10 years in Agile. Okay. Project coordinator with ERP domain. Perfect. Okay, perfect. I think I got the gist of the audience. So most of you are already practicing Agile. That's great. So we can definitely talk about most of you are project managers or program managers and have uh, know some level of understanding of Agile and AA concepts actually. So thanks Chaitanya for bringing that. So we are going to discuss how AI is disrupting Agile as well. So we are going to touch base on that. Okay. Okay. So let me start sharing my screen. Hope all of you are able to see my screen.
Yes, Venkat, we can
Yep.
see.
Yes.
Okay, okay, perfect. So I'm going to do this session a bit different. No, not like no standard PPT where I go through each of the slides. I think most of you are already know about Agile. We go deep dive into. There's some slides I put together again with the help of an AI tool. So we are going to deep dive into the topic. Then we are going to talk about why beyond Agile and also what I mean by designing. Fit for purpose, no outcome driven delivery model. Okay, so that's a, and maybe it is a new term to some of you. So some of you would have heard adaptive, hybrid. Now let's also talk about outcome driven delivery models. So this is a quick agenda for the next 40 minutes. So we are going to talk about, see, before we deep dive into the topic, so I just wanted to set the expectation about the current landscape, which many of you might be aware already. So we just revisit what is the IT landscape. There is significant transformation happening, in especially, say, I'm basically from the, as mentioned, I'm basically from the IT industry. Most of these content is customized towards IT and project management in IT or agile in IT. But the similar, I think there is not much difference, I would say, even if you're from a different industry as well. So, but to set the context, I wanted to talk about the current landscape of IT and the agile paradox. We are going to talk about the agile context. So we are going to quickly review some of the content from the recent state of agile report as well, right? So where exactly we stand in terms of agile, what is the big shift that is currently happening? Okay, this is where we are going to talk about why the need for no, whether you call it a methodology or framework or mindset, why we are talking about outcome driven fit for purpose delivery and what exactly the framework. So I'm going to not talk about the theory part. We are going to talk about in terms of how exactly the fit for purpose delivery you can roll out within your projects. So we are going to also talk about a typical implementation roadmap and some of the client stories we have implemented in Infosys Consulting, and also a bit about future of delivery. So future of delivery, what is the in the context of AI and other significant disruptions that are happening. So how exactly the the future of delivery looks like. Okay, so these are what I'm going to talk about, but we can definitely we can discuss if time permits any other topics related to the today's agenda. So if you want to talk anything about, we can discuss as well. So that's what the agenda for the next 45 minutes. Okay, quickly about my company. Infosys Consulting is the subsidiary of Infosys, focusing mainly on the strategy and transformation. Now, it is very much part of the bigger Infosys umbrella. So, whereas the Infosys Limited, what we call it as the bigger umbrella, drives the large-scale technology execution. So, we focus predominantly on management and business consulting. We focus on business transformation, strategy, operating model design, process, consulting, industry, and specific advisory as well. And we work in various verticals in terms of CRL or in terms of financial services, life sciences, manufacturing. So predominantly our focus area is in management and technology advisory as part of Infosys. Okay, so that's a bit about Infosys Consulting. Just wanted to quickly highlight to each of you. Okay, so now let's deep dive into the topic. Okay, so oh, the IT landscape is significantly shifting. Okay, so some of the key pointers I have listed here. Can any of you talk about no, where do you see the IT landscape is heading with your experience so far? So you see many news and new product launches, the news about layoffs and news about reinventing, news about AI models coming up. Governments are fearing about the new models. Last week, Anthropic announced a new model, and governments gathered again to discuss what the impact they're going to have on banks and all that, right? So there is significant activity in the marketplace. Where do you see this landscape is shifting? Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on that from anyone? Anyone? No, you can unmute yourself and you can switch on your camera if you could and talk about it. Okay, AI. Anything else?
This is Mohan. I think nowadays companies are trying to get started on the project and let the projects fail and then do the corrective measures instead of doing so much of planning and having the resourcing as per the plan.
Okay,
Especially
okay.
when requirement is not clear and we have to do some kind of that innovation. So most of the time, what I feel like company and the overall landscape is shifting towards like, I mean, say what we have, we will start and then we will evaluate and we will mature and more into the kind of the product one. And the admin kind of task is can be minimized using the automation or AI, that kind of the things which we are shifting towards.
Okay, very good. Yeah, who is that? Sorry,
This is
speaking.
Gohar.
Gohar. Okay. Yep. Thanks, Gohar. Very good insight. Anyone else? Where do you see, or if you see the current landscape, there's already significant transformation happened. I'm not talking about future. We talk about future a bit later. So, but there is significant transformation is already happening. Okay. So, any further thoughts on that? Let's be open. There is nothing right or wrong here. Okay, we are just asking, how do you perceive the industry shaping? How do you see where the significant transformation is happening?
I believe
This is Vikas.
non-IT department.
Go ahead, one of you, please. Yeah.
Okay, what I'm observing here, I mean, say that earlier that IT was specific into that some kind of the things, but after the COVID phase, I mean, say more digitization has happened, and the country, the industry which were not into much into the IT or digitization, even we are having the digital transformation over there. We are more having like, I mean, like even energy sector, if we will take for example, so like a smart meter, a smart grid of solar generation, all those things are the places where IT is entering into more, I mean, so that, and creating a more significant impact over there. Nowadays, we have the sensor and that ICT involvement. So this is what I see. I would like to invite somebody else was trying to say, so please feel free to share your thought. I will be on mute.
Yeah, this is
Thank you.
Vikas.
Thank you, Gohar. Yeah, go ahead, Vikas.
Yeah, so as Gohar said that uh, IT enabled services are being used in various sectors. I think my experience is that client by itself is now getting into IT, and they want to co-create their usage and understand and drive through the total integration and implementation of the products, so that it can be well implemented in the organization. This is a great change which is being observed before what we can say post COVID. It was not such, and clients were not so getting into IT driven activities. Now they are getting involved and they are understanding the importance of all these sectors.
Perfect, Vikas. So basically, if I can summarize what you mentioned, Vikas, and what Gohar mentioned is that the digital transformation is accelerating at a faster speed post-COVID, right?
Right.
Yes, and Ramana mentioned more focus on outcomes. Very apt, and that's very good rating, Ramana. Can you elaborate on that a bit if you could? Ramana, if you could unmute and speak. That's okay. So see, basically, if you ask me, so the significant shift that is happening, the first one obviously is AI, artificial intelligence. It's the most disruptive, I would say, with the recent AI agents and other significant trends that are happening in the AI domain, right? So I'm not an expert of AI, but I see the impact of AI happening in our industry, especially in the agile space. So no, you could see the more autonomous agents now performing tasks. So that's previously required a dedicated headcount. So you talk about code generation, automation testing, infrastructure monitoring. Uh, all these activities are autonomously done by AI agents. Okay, so every organization is focusing on creating their own AI agents, and so recently Google announced an agentic platform as well, similar to that we have already from Microsoft and other organizations as well. So there is significant the the key disruption, if you ask me, this is one that is happening, which is definitely impacting our space as well, because we have to align ourselves with these significant trends on the delivery front that is happening. We'll talk about that, how we can do that. And the second important aspect that's happening already, this is not that in future, it's happening already. The CXOs no longer asking for faster features. They're asking for measurable business impact within the same quarter. So that's, I think Ramna mentioned about outcomes. That is where exactly the industry is diving forward to. They're asking the measurable business outcome within the quarters. It's the questions recent in nowadays in meetings we hear. Okay, so how we can, what is our new revenue model for AI-enabled delivery? How to decouple revenue to headcount? No, so these are, you see the news articles also that no, there is significant disruption in the revenue models. Every organization is coming up with the revamped pricing and delivery models as well. Okay, so we're going to talk. This is the other significant trend. All of you can hear me, right?
Yes, Venkat, we can hear you. Just a note, probably you have stopped sharing your screen.
Okay. That's good. Thanks for letting me know. I'm just speaking. Okay, so you can see my screen now, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I'm talking
Thank you.
about the second bucket here. So the client priorities redefined, the CXO shifted from build features faster to prove business impact. So boards demand measurable ROI within the quarters. And the third key disruption, the landscape shift I see is the billing models itself. Okay, it's no more. Now we have this pyramid type of billing models. Typically, the offshores. What offshore was built predominantly on these models of cost optimizations and cost advantage. They get by offshoring, right? So that's no more relevant. So there is the headcount based E&M contracts are under very existential pressure. I would say this already some companies moved from this headcount based models to a different model. Okay, so that is where the outcome based pricing come into picture. So there recently I see many companies like us and Cognizant and these kind of companies announced that outcome based pricing. So it is basically either it could be linked to your client satisfaction or paper result per automation per value delivered, and these kind of billing models are happening already in the industry. So the era of billing by hour, you charge $20 and $80 for an on-site and offshore resources and all that is vanishing. So is ending. Okay, so that is another key landscape shift that is happening, I would say, in terms of the IT landscape. And no, and of course, the other important AI-assisted development is collapsing timelines. This is very relevant to us, wherein suppose we used to take a simple application if you have to develop, so it used to take about more than 6 months, a year, 2 years earlier. So now I can do it maybe in less than a month, right? So that's significant. The delivery cycle we are talking about is significantly reducing. Okay, so with the AI augmentation, so with the simple prompt, even we have tested this in our own indigenous tools that we have within the company, where we can create an app and a prototype and demo it to the client in just one single day. Is it possible before? So it's never possible. So that's the kind of disruption that is happening with AI and other related tools. So this is where we need to see how we still need to discuss and rethink about, okay, earlier we talked about divide your work into sprints and deliver every 2 weeks some sort of work and take client feedback and loop that feedback back into your work. So is that model still relevant? Okay, so is there any optimization we need to do? Okay, so here when I say beyond agile, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking of anything bad about agile. Okay, agile is definitely is the key region where we are right now as an industry, whether it is IT or otherwise, because it's made a significant shift the way we deliver things. It's helped us in faster delivery, it helped us in fixing issues, surely quality improvement. There are a lot of benefits we got from Agile, but the kind of changes that we see at this moment, so there is definitely a need to tweak our delivery models. Okay, so that's what we foresee. See, because we are into consulting, right? So we generally work on a day in, day out, understand the market direction and work with the end clients. So with my experience recently, if you look at a pure play Scrum Master or Agile coach's role are slowly vanishing from the market, right? So any of you observed this? Any of you read this in the market? If any of you trying for jobs or you would have observed this. Okay, so it's either you talk about maybe a different words like outcome lead or technical project manager or technical scrum master kind of roles. So it's a kind of whether it is AI augmented roles that's relevant now, or it is a domain specific roles that are relevant now. Okay, so this is another major, which actually brings to the fifth point as well. The talent model itself is evolving. Okay, so we are talking about no more a domain. No, we are talking about an AI orchestrator, domain expert, outcome engineer, and these kind of roles. We are talking about uh, no. That don't reskill obviously will be repriced. We're talking about the firms that don't reskill will be repriced out of the market. Okay, and of course data as a delivery currency. The key to any of the API models, or the key to any of the AI agents we are talking about is the data. Okay, so how clean your data, how reliable is your data, and the data is the god now with all these tools that are currently happening in the landscape, right? So we are talking about real-time analytics, telemetry, and AI-generated insight are replacing. So it's no more we just depend on gut feel governance and all that, right? So we validate each and every step with the data. So for example, if we want to validate your pricing, so you need to understand what's how the market is driving. You need to collect multiple data inputs. What is the response of your clients to your earlier no proposals, all that you need to consider. So when you're talking about relying on data, okay. So these are the key trends. So I would say there could be many trends, but these are the key trends I see happening. One is obviously the biggest disruptor is rise of AI agents. The client priorities are redefined. The billing models are disrupted. The delivery cycles are compressing, and the talent and workforce transformation. So the roles that we foresee over the years, including the project manager and program manager roles that we foresee from years, from decades, are redefining. I'm not saying they're vanishing or there is no more project managers and all that. So they're realigning to the landscape. Okay, so that's how the industry is changing. And of course, the data is the god for all the activities that we do now. So any thoughts on this slide from anyone? Uh, um, any of you want to add anything more now with the kind of background now that you got about what I'm talking about here? Anyone? Any of you agree, disagree with what is mentioned here? You can type.
Totally agreed with you, Venkata, because whatever the points you have mentioned in the slides is absolutely right in the current scenario. What we see it is really happening.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Gohan. So, yeah. See, basically, as you see, if you're actually reading through the industry, if not deep delve into not just your day-to-day work, I know it's kind of pressure we are all working nowadays. But if you read through the news that is happening, you see all these trends that are happening, and no, there is no wonder. I think I mentioned in the next slide, there is no wonder that no your bot the AI bot is your next team member. It's no more that no we talk about now we talk about a 7 to 8 member Scrum team with a Scrum Master, product owner, and development team, testers, and all that, right? So it could be very soon. I think some companies are already following where you have AI enabled bot as a Scrum Master and maybe one technical architect, which is human, and then two, three other bots for your delivery and development and delivery. That is your Scrum team. That's the digital workforce that's becoming very normal. So you don't need humans in each of these roles, where the high-end skill, like where we talk about the design, architect, and these kind of roles, we still have humans, but the low code and the especially the coding, the deployment, the kind of automation that we see happening. So the digital workforce becoming very, very normal. Okay. And autonomous AI operations. So this is not again future, it's already happening. AI Ops 2.0 is what we call it as, right? So the end-to-end execution of seamless execution of operations is already happening. And so these are the a bit about. I'm not talking about very long distance future here. I'm not talking about even it's like in the slide it is mentioned at 2030, but it's not even 2030. I'm talking about max maybe within next 1 2 years. You see all these trends. If not today, I know some of these are already happening. No, very near future, you see all these trends happening. So digital workforce becoming normal, autonomous AI, IT operations. You don't need human intervention in the IT operation. So wherein the what we call it as a self-learning or self-healing infrastructure that we're talking about, and auto-remediating pipelines. Okay, so these are all requires a separate sessions to deep dive into, maybe from AI experts, but this is how the industry and the future looks like. Okay, so shift from apps to outcomes. Okay, so I think earlier I mentioned about how the focus is now shifting to outcomes. Now client buy results, not software. If Gohar, if you're not speaking, can you mute? I think somebody is. I think Gohar is muted, but if you're not speaking, can you mute on your side, please? Okay, thank you. Okay, so so this is what the future looks like, wherein there is significant shift you see in terms of uh, AI platforms and outcome linked contracts and talent transformation, and these are the kind of shift that is happening in the industry. And I mentioned a couple of things here: AI native versus legacy divide. So if companies understand this wave that is currently happening and reinvent themselves, they will survive. Otherwise, it's going to be very big divide, whether it is big company or small company, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so there's going to be big divide between AI first firms uh, and non-AI firms, I would call it as. Okay, so this is one of the reason any company and any there is big, small, medium, all companies are embarking on this wave, and they're trying their best to how they can AI enabled. You see, we ourselves call it as AI first company, and we enabled AI in multiple areas and multiple units. Okay, so similarly, it's nothing less in other companies as well. So I see that the significant push towards moving towards a native. We talked about job roles evolving. So I don't want to repeat that, but no, and the transformation, the digital transformation we are talking about even faster. Okay, and there are certain risks actually. So when we talk about, let's say, a digital transformation, an agile transformation, we used to take like 1 year or 1+ year if it is a bigger bank or bigger clients. Now it can be shrinked further with the help of all these tools that are available now, and bots we are talking about. So the agile transformation can be shrinked maybe below 1 year, but there is still risks. Now, while you can shrink the delivery cycles and the sprint cycles that we're talking about, but the risks that involves in terms of proper governance and culture change we talk about in case of agile transformation, those cannot be done quickly with AI. So those kind of risks still exist. Okay, so that's what I mentioned here in the last bucket, where AI speed change, the governance gaps and vendor lock-in create significant systematic risks. Okay, so any further thoughts on this? Any of you want to add? What is the current landscape, or what the future looks like, or where do you see, if from within your specific area or within specific domain you're working on, where do you see, at least in the next 2 years, things happening?
Hey, hi Venkat. Hi everyone. Good morning.
Go ahead.
Rajiv.
Go ahead.
It's my pleasure. So I completely agree with all the points you have made, Venkat. It makes more sense to speak about AI and all, because I see in the I'm from Salesforce domain, and we are completing the projects which usually takes 6 months or 7 months. Earlier we are like delivering in 3 months now,
Okay.
right? It has a lot to do with AI. Right. And client also, like they're saying that since you are saying that you are reinventors, right? And you are AI enabled and your employees AI trained, we expect you to and the business is also like um, earlier people used to wait for a year or two for the product to come out and reach the market, but it's completely changed now. So we are delivering everything in 3 months, right? Like we are kind of
Right.
moving every other day.
No, sorry, which industry you mentioned, Rajiv? I missed that.
Yeah, so I'm in IT. I'm on Salesforce
Salesforce.
technology.
Okay. No, I can understand. Definitely, there is significant pressure. Even we see in our contracts as well, right? There's significant push from clients that, okay, why can't you do it in half of the time that we used to take earlier? Okay.
Yeah.
And and of course, the reason we have implemented Agile is to cut down on the total delivery cycle and not to become faster and effective. And even now, so even Agile could catch up with the kind of expectation that the industry is having. So we are talking about no where we divide it into multiple chunks and get the MVP as early as possible to the market. But the kind of expectation I see from the clients, it's even when you have this entire Agile implemented and teams are working in sprints and there is a faster delivery happening, and still in that case also we are not able to catch up with the market expectations or the client expectations in certain cases. Okay,
Very
because
true.
it's again,
Sometimes I
and the
also feel. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
no, go ahead, Raju, no problem.
So
Up to you.
sometimes I also feel like sprint itself is vanishing these days.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so no, even I see down the line, if some companies, if not following already, so they'll come down to no 1 day sprint or 2 day sprints where you have to build the application, maybe using an AI tool in 1 day, and some other bot or a human will test that immediately and make sure the MVP ready. So that's your 2 day sprint. Okay. So wherein you deliver everything and pack it that increment within 2 days. So it's no wonder no we do that very soon. Okay. So let's talk about the agile paradox. So let's deep dive into our. So we talk about all these no the landscape shifting that is happening, and you look at if you look at, I'm not sure how many of you look at this report. Okay, definitely encourage all of you to you see these reports. You're able to see the report, right? The 18th State of Agile report on my screen. Can you say it?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so this report, if some of you have not read, I would definitely encourage you to read it. And there is significant, I would say, no findings in this report that was mentioned as listed in the slide as well, especially with kind of disruptions that we talked about, the IT landscape disruptions that are happening. You see this 71% report agile transformation stalled or failed to scale. Okay. So 52% say lack of leadership buy-in is the number one adoption barrier. I'm talking about for agile. 42% struggle to align agile teams to strategic business outcomes. You see the significant percentages here. These are the facts. This is done from a good number of sample survey. 71% report agile transformations are stalled or failed to scale. 71%. So that is the kind of state that we are in. So we talked about no, we implemented Agile. Agile became the baseline for many of us, or many of our organizations, or many of our projects. So, but still, are we getting the impact? Are we getting the results that we perceive from the clients? We still having significant failure rate that we talk about in the earlier waterfall models and the project management, other project management models, right? So similar case we see even now with 71% report agile transformations failed. 52% say lack of leadership buy-in is the number one barrier. And if you see these, why these significant gaps, why this agile transformation is failing, if you deep dive into root causes clearly, if understand, because we have implemented agile to fast track the success rate and to fast track, make sure we get the client buy-in and the client satisfaction, but still we see significant failure rates. Okay, so the kind of gaps that at least I see in the current transformations that we're working. And we talk about productivity, and which is significantly changing the way we measure, but we still hang on to the age-old metrics of velocity and the other metrics that we burn up, burn down, that we do for each of the parts, each of the Scrum teams and Agile teams, right? So, do you think those metrics are still relevant? If it's the kind of changes that if you foresee, suppose if not today, tomorrow there's some changes will happen in your team where you will have AI bots and you have other kind of tools that are available in your front where you don't need maybe human intervention. If you're still measuring velocity and burn up and burn down, it will be very much way off. Okay, so that's where we talk about the 63% say agile metrics don't capture AI productivity. So we are talked about this billing earlier also, right? Teams billing hours per work, AI does it in minutes. Okay, so ROI, the return on investments is invisible. 42% cannot align agile teams to strategic outcomes. So I'm not sure how many of you we have these. No, we work on these OKRs, right? So objective and key results, where we define what is the business outcome, and then we track down to your epics or features, and then the user stories, and so on and so forth, right? So but even despite of that, you see that 42% struggle to align agile teams to strategic business outcomes. Okay, so while the focus and the entire industry is focusing on the business outcomes, no more in terms of whether you increased velocity, whether the focus is more on how much revenue each of your sprints generated. Okay, what is no what is per associate revenue that is improving in terms of including the productivity. We are talking about beyond 100% when you actually include your AI bots and all that, right? So basically, still we talking about not able to align to the business outcomes. Okay, so agile, the future consequence obviously with this agile gap. So agile squads invisible to boards and no outcome traceability. 71% of agile transformations stalled at scales. Okay, so we talked about this. Scaling remains the number one challenge. So the significant challenge over the years from the last 2.5 decades of agile is very successful at the team level, but when the key challenges when I implemented this to a bigger bank, with multiple departments and multiple upstream and downstream products, that's where the challenges come into the fore, right? I think some of you would have already experienced this. Okay, so there are certain, suppose when you work for a bank, there are certain regulatory guidelines we need to follow. Okay, so you can't definitely miss that. So so there are certain reports that we need to send it to regulatory bodies like SEBI or FCA kind of organizations, right? So that's where how while maintaining these rigid regulatory challenges, how do you scale your delivery? That's the key challenge. Okay, and of course, the leadership buy-in gap that we talked about, and workforce and role transformation, and with the right agile, and even now, no, I face this challenge wherein we are still looking at some key agile coaches who have uh, business and domain expertise, and who has done some real agile transformation. It's becoming very difficult to find the right skills in the market. Despite of that, we have many and the market is flooded with too many resumes from Scrum Masters and Agile coaches and so on. But still, and not only the acquisition, even the retaining talent becoming also still the challenge. Okay, so And we talked about the traditional agile roles becoming obsolete, and a native talent gap widens rapidly. So unless we equip ourselves with the knowledge of AI and other advancements happening within our domain, we cannot stay relevant. This is given. There is no more prediction. Okay. So because it is already happening as we see it, so this the number one criteria that we look at how effectively you can use either AI tools or other technologies at your forefront to do your job better and more productive. Okay. So that is where we are talking about. If we don't do that, and obviously the talent gap is going to be huge. So that's where the key impact on workforce and role transformations. And always we limited ourselves to agile success by velocity or timely delivery, but not exactly by the business impact. So how do you turn around and make sure you start measuring the business impacts and use your current agile model, extend beyond the current no metrics that you're following to business impact. Okay. So if you don't do that, your delivery will be optimized throughput, while customer value erodes significantly, because customer is looking something else, and but you are focusing on something else. That is what is happening right now with many of the projects we see. We focus very much on, we do very thorough velocity measurements. We do very thorough on-time delivery. We do very thorough retrospectives. We follow all the Scrum ceremonies. But the end of the day, a customer thinks different, and customer value that we're talking about is eroding in the market. So it's not the no right way to deliver and make your customer happy. Right. So that's happening in the industry is what I mean to say, with the kind of no, we talk about the transformation models that we have deployed. Okay. So any thoughts from anyone on this? If I'm not going too fast.
I will only add one point, Venkat, over here, and specifically about the last line you mentioned, right? 60%, 67% measuring agile success by velocity, on time delivery, but not business impact. So what I feel, I mean, so that because I have implemented many projects into waterfall and agile, but what I feel like for a project manager, specifically, I will take this as a project or program manager, because what happens mostly, we do our implementation either like as a agile scrum master or the project manager, we will have that, but our SDLC doesn't allow beyond the implementation phase, because once I have implemented project, it is dust and done from my side, then I will have another project to move in, another to think things. So I will never go back and check with like client, okay, we implemented this product, how much revenue I have generated, how much impact it has created, unless somebody will come, even if business will circulate something, they will just send that key once it is successfully launched, they have done some kind of the staff testing or some kind of the initial review, and after that we didn't hear back from them as well. So this is the one loophole which I feel in the system, and that is what like limitation also, that like we are not able to make a good I mean it's a measure on the business impact what we are implementing. But if any other thought, please let me know. This is my own thought actually.
Yeah, very valid point, Gohar. See, basically, this is a similar challenge in many of the teams with organizations, bigger organizations, I would say. So where we don't implement this value stream kind of concept, where end-to-end value, we know exactly how the value is delivered to the client. If you're not really measuring the impact and business value, we are stuck with what we measure, right? So we stuck with how my development team is doing, we stuck with how my testing team is doing, but not really whether it made the client happy, delivered the value that client expecting, it made the revenue that the organization is anticipating, right? So, and how it is impacting the clients, okay, the customers
right.
of the client. So these kind of things, if we don't really, so this is where the model I'm talking about will work. I'm not talking about any, revamped or significant change. We're talking about, instead of just focusing on your work, let's fix the end goal. Okay, so you fix the end goal and trace backwards to that. You fix that. Okay, I have to generate this much X percentage revenue. So I have to generate this much value to my client. Okay, you fix that and track towards how you can deliver that value. So obviously, in this case, you need to work with your operations team. You need to work with your implementation engineer. No, you need to work with your upstream teams cohesively. So then only you can deliver the value that client expects, right? So if you keep that in mind and you align everything else to that, things will happen in place. That's how we need to see. We talk about predominantly in Kanban and lean kind of models. We talk about this where we know exactly how the value is getting delivered. So, okay, but in case of in some of these models implemented wrongly, even Agile talks about the customer value and customer benefit. But while for implementing, we implement it in small scrum such a way that where the end value, in most of the cases, where the end value is not visible to the developer or the tester that's actually working on the ground. Okay, with the kind of disruption that we talked about in the industry, it is going to be even more problem if we continue the same way, because it's no more we are talking about human and machine interfaces here, and with bots, and I mentioned one example earlier, right? Your pod team going to be one AI Scrum Master plus one testing bot and one developer bot, and then one maybe human architect or AI enabled architect or strategist, I would say. So it's no more going to be just the humans, right? So we need to think about this paradigm shift that's happening, how that is going to impact your delivery model if you don't really understand the end outcome that's actually delivering to the client. Okay, so I think I took enough time on this. Is that okay with everyone? If I can extend by 10 minutes? Abhinav,
Okay
is
with
that
me.
okay? I
Yes,
think it's going a bit beyond the timeline, but just wanted to take it 10 minutes more if ever. It's okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about this. We talked about it already, so I don't want to stress upon this. Uh, no, we talked about the process driven and the agile and the big shift that is happening towards the outcome driven fit for purpose. Okay, so let's try to understand this, what we mean by outcome driven fit for. This is where we talk about delivery designed around business context and impact. Okay, and you could have n number of models part of this. It could be your agile, it could be waterfall, it could be hybrid, it could be adaptive models. So we're going to fit all these models into this outcome driven and fit for purpose. But as I mentioned earlier, we'll fix the end goal first. So we look at the outcome first, and we look at the metrics like revenue per release, customer retention delta, NPS movement, and these kind of things, and work backwards to that, how you can align your delivery. It is not that, okay, so my organization is following SAFe, I need to implement SAFe across all the teams, irrespective of whether I get result or not. That's not going to be the model. And we have seen many cases, even in the consulting world, we see this day in, day out. We have seen many cases blindly implementing a certain framework failed miserably. And I have seen personally myself where organizations struggle to come out of that. And many organizations now, the same reason, many organizations are not going by a prescribed framework like a SAFe or DA kind of frameworks. They're actually adopting certain components of it, and they're customizing it to their specific need. And currently we are implementing a certain framework in a bank, okay, very big bank. I can't name it here, but we are again following adaptive delivery, where we understand the key components of each of the user journey, and for each of the user journey, based on the specific journey that we talk about, whether it is let's say credit cards processing, one day implementing an open banking application. So for each of these, we are following different delivery models based on the specific requirement and need. It is not a blindfolded implementation of Agile across. We do implement Agile at scale, customized safe, I would say, but at the same time, certain specific user journeys, we still follow waterfall. We still follow Kanban for certain cases. So there's nothing wrong in it, and it's working very well, and we have seen significant results out of this. This is one example I'm talking about how you can use outcome-driven delivery models. Okay, so that's a bit about how you can use how the big shift is happening. So from process driven to agile to outcome driven. So again, as I mentioned, outcome driven fit for purpose delivery doesn't mean that is the rejection of agile at all. So it is, I would say, it is an elevation of it. So the question shifts from which framework to what does this specific work stream, client context, and business objective actually require. Okay, so that's how we look at this outcome driven and fit for purpose delivery. So the three defining principles, as you see on the right side: outcomes over outputs, measure what the business achieves. That's what we talk about outcomes when we talk about outcomes, not outputs. Context over conformity, delivery, design delivery to fit to the work, not the framework. Okay, so many times we take some framework, we try to fit teams and people into that framework. Okay, so many organizations still do that, and it's not going to work that way, and especially with the kind of work and projects that we are doing nowadays. Value over velocity, business impact replaces story points. Story points are still relevant, but we still need to understand what is the business impact we are making. So the focus should be on the outcomes, as I mentioned, and the business impact. Okay, so it is again not the future state I'm talking about here. The clients making this shift is already seeing miserable differences, and we will see some examples also in the next slides. Okay, so this is one of the key slide I want to talk about. So this is where we are talking about the fit for purpose delivery, fit for purpose outcome delivery, outcome based delivery we are talking about is not at all about doing agile better. It is about designing delivery around the nature of work and desired outcomes amplified by AI. Okay, so you could use AI. So sorry for the small text in this slide, but you see the different models listed here, and what is the shift that you need to do, and also what is the specific principles that you can follow for this. Whether you call it as a framework model, I leave it to you. But this is how you can realign from your current delivery model to fit for purpose outcome-based delivery models. Okay, so as you see here, let me talk about this 1 minute. Okay, see, you see with the key message, I think all of you understand the key message at the top. Okay, based on the thesis, and everything is aligned to that. If you see at the bottom, so if you look at no feature ship to business outcomes, so we no more focused on just feature shipped, it's to business outcomes achieved, and sprint velocity to value delivered per cycle, from story points to OKR and impact metrics, from activity tracking to continuous value tracking. Continuous value tracking, I'm not sure how many of you do this. So you need to make sure you continuously track the value you delivered. And these are the kind of the pairs that you see on the left side that you need to make sure that you shift from your business features to business outcomes, and sprint velocity to value delivered, and story points to OKR impact. So this is what you need to focus majorly on, the shift part of it I'm talking about. At the middle, you see the work segmentation. So this is where you need to make sure you select the right delivery model. Okay, make sure, here we are talking about it could be predictive for fixed scope and high regulation, for example, ERP rollouts or government contracts, kind of projects. And for emerging requirements and high change frequency, we know obviously Agile can be still relevant for product development, digital services. And suppose we are talking about BAU work or operations pipelines, DevSecOps kind of activities. We have these lean and flow methods we can use, and of course the hybrid, so that need both governance gates like your waterfall and also the flexibility from the agile like sprint flexibility and all that. So that is where we use the hybrid and also the adaptive delivery, as rightly mentioned in the PMBOK. Also the AI augmented for continuous change environments where AI is native to the delivery. So it could be either new bots you're developing, new agents you're developing. This is where the adaptive delivery will makes more sense. Okay, so there is a subtle difference between hybrid and adaptive delivery. Hybrid is about governance structure combining different phase gates with sprints for enterprise programs with fixed oversight requirements. Adaptive is all about where you can use AI native apps and continuously shiftings from scope where the methodology itself is fluid and in your AI is embedded in every delivery decision making. Okay, so that's how you can use the adaptive delivery. And on the right side, you see some of these adaptive delivery strategy, and that is basically the philosophy, the principle that you need to follow across the entire rollout, and how you can use your dynamic strategy in terms of what. So it could also be possible that based on specific OKR that you are delivering, so you can change your uh, uh, as mentioned in the work segmentation. It is not that you need to follow within the same project. You don't have to follow the same model that you're talking about, whether predictive. So you define your OKRs. So based on the OKR and based on the specific category that falls into, there could be very much possible that certain OKRs are very still emerging and very high change OKR. So where you can follow agile, whereas where you have a fixed scope and where you know exactly the change. The key parameters that you need to look at is the four parameters that at the top: requirement clarity, volatility, risk and compliance, and AI applicability. Based on these four parameters, for the kind of OKRs that you're focusing, applying these four parameters, you can decide which specific model that you want to use. But you need to consider specific important aspects like AI augmentation, governance balance, value metrics. So this actually there's a if you can browse through these details, you will get it uh, using in the web. But definitely, these are the key enablers for this framework, not just the model and shifting focus from features to outcomes, but these are the what we're talking about, the governance balance. And when we talk about governance balance, the funding methods that you need to use and the value metrics and the operating model. So here I'm not talking about just the delivery aspect of it, right? So when we talk about the overall operating model, what kind of team topologies you use. It could be some structure changes that you need to do. So all that also will come into picture when you talk about this one. Okay, so this is a typical timeline that we followed in terms of implementation roadmap. About you can see the week 1 to 2 delivery DNA assessment, the initial assessment that we do. We need to diagnose honestly in the first 1 to 2 weeks, map the current delivery models across all the work streams. So any friction points you identify, where is the rework, where is the overrun, where is the misalignment happening, assess the team topologies and stakeholder engagement maturity and evidences as part of the DNA assessment. And then week 3 and 4, we do context classification. So apply the work segmentation framework that we discussed and categorize each work stream by delivery archetype and where exactly it will fall under. And this is where the decision table we discussed earlier will becomes very helpful. And define the target operating model design. So define roles, ceremonies, tooling, governance, and for each of the archetypes. So whether we're talking about Kanban, or we're talking about Scrum, whether you're talking about SAFe, or you're talking about some other hybrid model. So define an operating model, define roles, ceremonies, tooling, and governance for that. That takes about 2 weeks, and pilot and calibrate. So again, this is what generally we follow. We do not roll out everything at once. So select 2 or 3 work streams representative of the different different archetypes. Whether it take one area where you want to implement Kanban, and take one area you want to one OKR you want to implement Scrum, and pilot it and calibrate it accordingly, and scale and embed obviously. So where the end you can roll out them across the portfolio with specific playbooks and embedded coaching and leadership enablement, as you see at the bottom. Okay, so the 3 accelerators is very much important. The playbooks, coaching, and outcome dashboards from day one is what separate a transformation from one that reverts after the first quarter. So basically, this is a typical implementation roadmap if you want to implement fit for purpose outcome-based delivery model. Okay, this is some examples. I don't want to go in depth as we are already over time. Some examples of how we have implemented from Infosys in action. One of the global tier 1 banks, 40 agile squads, all tracking velocity, no visibility into whether any of it was moving business outcomes. We shifted them from velocity metrics to outcome OKRs. And of course, the result is customer onboarding completion rose from 31% done simultaneously with regulatory compliance across multiple jurisdictions. And similarly, one healthcare conglomerate and feature-based backlog prioritized by stakeholder requests rather than patient outcomes. Here we used reframed prioritization around patient outcome metrics. That is the outcome that we wanted, right? So operational incidents fell nearly by 60%. Digital patient platform NPS, so the net promoter score improved 24 points, which is a significant jump. So this is some of the examples as you see in action. The critical point in all these cases, the delivery model itself did not change dramatically. What changed was the measurement system and the prioritization logic and the governance cadence and the so the same effort that we are doing now, if you pointed at the right outcomes, and then obviously it will produce a completely different result. Okay, so that's what we have observed with some of these examples. Okay, so this, I think we talked about the future earlier, so I think we can skip this in terms of AI-assisted outcome predictions, customer signal integration, self-healing teams that we talked about, policy as code governance, and continuous value streaming. So we talk about continuous value delivery as well, right? So no, the right side box, I'm not sure how many of you can read this, is also important. Is your arc ready in terms of outcome OKRs in place, AI embedded in delivery, value metrics to velocity, value metrics given higher weightage than velocity, governance scales at risk, and continuous value being delivered. So if not, definitely this is the time, the kind of wave that's currently happening. Unless we ride this wave and put ourselves in the forefront of this, we'll be left behind, either whether as an individual project manager or as an organization. Okay, so I stop here. So this is just about the Infosys commitment and all that. So I stop here. And That's all. Basically, just wanted to quickly elaborate. So very high level talk about what is the pitfalls in the current agile models that we are following, how you can elevate your agile with the fit for purpose outcome driven delivery models. Okay. Hope even if not too depth or too heavy, at least given some inputs into how you can look at and how it is happening as we speak. Okay. So any questions, comments from anyone?
Yeah, Venkat, this is Ramana.
Hello, sir. I'm
Hello.
Chaitanya.
Yeah, go ahead, Ramana.
Yeah, just an observation.
Go ahead, Ramana.
Yeah,
Is it Ramana?
in the trends evolving, what you have shown, you informed that data is the new delivery currency. It's the what you have
Yes.
shown in the trends evolving. So I have an observation here. Earlier in our previous experience, we used to thought that data leads to information, and we get knowledge from the information and wisdom from the application of the knowledge. So that is the cycle we used to discuss earlier models. So I got an interesting observation here. You are saying that AI may be giving the knowledge, but it is the members who needs to use their wisdom to apply the knowledge and get the projects delivered. That's what I feel. So I have read on a lighter note. I have read somewhere. I have read on a lighter note. I have read somewhere that your knowledge says that tomato is.
No, I think your voice is break.
Is it okay now?
No, I got the gist of it. Your voice is breaking. I'm not sure whether it's for me or for others also.
Is it okay now?
So, is right.
Is it okay now, sir? Hello?
It's still breaking. It's still breaking. Sorry, actually. So is it up now? Is it breaking for you as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Chaitanya's voice is a little bit big.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chaitanya. You raised your hand.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So just 2 points. One, from consultant point of view, the business has changed. But the normal project managers are still at the same level. They have not entered even AI augmentation. I think there will be some more years for them to actually come into this level of value delivery thinking. My thoughts. Second thought, sir, you have taken many frameworks, but there is a framework called CPMAI. CPMAI, it has CRISP DM, which is a actually data-centric methodology. I think your stack of frameworks, which is agile plus waterfall plus adaptive, there is one framework crucially missing is CPMAI. If you mix that also, I think that will be the best framework to choose from.
Okay.
That's all, sir. Thank you.
No, thanks. Very valid point, Chaitanya. See, first for your first question, I don't think it is going to be years. As you see in my organization, suppose I'm talking about, there is significant push to reskill all the project managers with AI. Okay. So we are doing in multiple ways. So, we provided the right tools and right frameworks for each of our project managers. We are enabling them to make sure they understand the way industry is going, the client expectations. We're actually proactively going to clients and start looking at, start selling some of our AI kind of tools as well. So it is no more you the project manager. By the time it comes to project manager, it may be years. Then we'll be left well behind by that time. So if your organization is not providing that kind of training or support to you, I think you should proactively make sure that you get the required training and you get the required skilling, whether it is from PMI or otherwise. That's definitely is definitely the need of the hour. The second point you mentioned, definitely yes, CPMA. Even I have not deep dive into that yet. Definitely that is one even I heard very promising, and we can definitely include in the spectrum. Okay, so any further questions from anyone before we close? I think sorry it took
Venkat,
50 minutes.
yeah, sorry to interrupt, Venkat. In the interest of
Go ahead.
time, we will have the questions offline. And we would like to
Okay.
thank you for the insightful session and you walking us through all the IT landscape changes, the gaps in the current delivery models, and how the future looks like. So I'm pretty sure that the participants have gained certain knowledge around the key metrics and new paradigm that is upcoming in the future, which are like outcomes over output and context over conformity and values over velocity, right? So now, so going forward from the as part of PMI Pearl City Hyderabad chapter, uh, Venkat, you are honored with a ticket of 5 trees, which are planted for red pandas uh, in the Sikkim, India. And thank you for all the insightful session on Beyond Agile, design fit for purpose, outcome-driven delivery models. And now